nice guy syndrome. That's what Robert Glover calls it, and recovering from being a nice guy. And that has been a huge thing that's been the biggest thing that I've realized about myself through this journey. And I'd love to talk about that, man. That is like crazy stuff. Mm-hmm.
The nice guy, yeah, because the flip side of that is the Peterson stuff, right? Be a monster, but learn how to control it, right? And so it's sort of like acknowledging your true self and what's really possible. I've got these claws, but I choose not to use them. That's a much more noble experience than to not have claws to begin with and just be that middle of the road nice guy. Because a lot of times to be a nice guy, you have to subvert your own desires. You have to subvert what you really feel. And you have to kind of play pretend. So it's hard, right? Because a little bit of nice makes the world go round. If you're not nice at all, it's like you'll have no social relationships because everybody will reject you because your truth will be very alarming to me and that will make me feel uncomfortable. And so now I'm not going to invite Richie to the party because I don't want to hear the truth today. I just want to have a nice time. You know what I mean? So it's like everything else in life. It's all about moderation and balance. You want to have the capacity, but to feel like you always have to be on is crushing.
Yes. It was just always like, I have to do this, I have to do that. And there's particular relationships that I had where, family, friends, really good people, they would come over or we'd go over to their place and spend weekends together. And, and the parents were like, yeah, go talk to her, go talk to him, keep them company, all the time. And it's like, yeah, it's great, but sometimes people just want to hang out by themselves, or sometimes people don't get along, and that's totally okay. Like, that's natural. But then back to that, what you said about the moderation and being nice guy, 100%. What my coach told me, and I love this. He goes, "Don't be a nice guy, be a good guy, be a good person. Just be a good person. Be good to people. Do good for the world." Because, and I highly recommend anyone listening to this look up Dr. Robert Glover. He wrote this book called No More Mr. Nice Guy. I'm about halfway through it. Game changing. So if you consider yourself like too nice, overly nice to people, I think everyone should read this book, but especially if you feel like you resonate with what I'm saying, read this book, because it's just what he talks about is so true. And like, if you feel like if you're a overly nice guy, you're afraid of disapproving other people. And if you're going to say no to someone, then they're going to think you're an asshole. And like certain things that he says, I'm like, damn, that it's so true. It's almost like he's in my mind. And as I'm talking to my coach about this, reading this book, I'm like, hold on, could this be a big reason why I've developed this disorder where I'm constantly just on lookout and like feeling triggered all the time? And I was like, I think this is it. So I'm, recently in the last like month, 2 months, I've been kind of in this transformation where really leaning into that masculine energy and healing and like unraveling these certain habits and that I've put in place where I haven't put myself first. I'm always trying to please other people. Well, it's like, no, you got to meet your needs first so that you can serve other people at a high level. And it was that buildup of victimhood. That's what I was mentioning earlier, that feeling like a victim. Like, I was nice to this person. Oh, they're not nice to me. Oh, fuck them, And it was constant. It's like, no, like, first of all, they don't have to be nice to you. Like, who says, where does that say that he has to do that? And the second thing is you're just thinking about you. You're just trying to manipulate other people to like you so that you feel good. It's a manipulative tactic.
That's right. And a highway to resentment. Right, because you're making an unspoken deal. I was nice to you, so you're going to A, B, and C for me, but it's unspoken, so they don't know what your expectations are. They don't know what your hope is, right? And so they don't fulfill the contract. They aren't nice back, or they are worse, dismissive, and they ignore you, right? And you're like, well, hold on, like you just said, I did my part of the deal that nobody agreed to, and I didn't tell you about, but it's still a deal. I was nice. Right. So I got this coming. And when it doesn't come back, that is a highway to resentment, right? That is how you get lashing out, because after years of that, it's like, okay, no, that book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, that can go really, really bad, right? It's like, okay, I've had it. I've been nice to everybody for the last 20 years of my life. My boss just spit on me in front of everybody. all right, now everybody's going to pay for what I've been putting up with for the last 20 years. And that's how you make the news, you know?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
Oh my, that's so true. No, it's victim purging. I think that's what Robert Glover calls it. This author, he's so good. He's such I love his stuff. Like any sort of content, YouTube, his books, just genius. So good. I resonate with it personally. I love it. And he talks about this stuff, and same thing with he got started in it because of his relationships and his marriages and how they were terrible. He said they failed. He was overly nice to them, and his wives didn't respect him. They were like, no, he's not sharing what he feels. He's just trying to be nice so that he can manipulate us so that we give him approval. And then randomly, like, you would have these like victim outbursts.
Sure. You owe me. You owe me.
Yeah. And you're not a nice guy. Like, that's not nice. Yeah. That's not being nice. Yeah. You're being an asshole.
Yeah. Well, and he's certainly not being authentic, right? You're not being your true self. And I like what you said earlier about, you can't help others unless you help yourself first. I really think as a society, we kind of need to redefine how we feel about that word selfish, right? Like, we think selfish is like one of the worst things you can be, but it's not. If you got to pay your bills first before you give to charity, or everybody ends up homeless, right? You give all your money away. That's nice. You're not selfish. Yeah, but you don't have a house now because you didn't pay your bills. Emotional currency is the same way. You have to pay your emotional bills first. And if you've got 5% left at the end of that, that's a real 5% you can give versus faking giving away 50% and your emotional needs aren't met. And so you've now built those resentments. You've now built those angers, and you become less happy in your own life, and therefore also less happy or less able to help others be happy and assist them on their journey as well. It's just not real. It's just not authentic, and it's certainly not sustainable. And it sounds like you lived through that a little bit. So.
Oh yeah, I felt it a few times. Yeah.
So getting back to, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, like, just that was like the biggest thing working with this coach. Meditating, having support, and also another thing I didn't mention is clearing out the adrenaline by doing cardiovascular exercise. As a tennis coach, whenever I would be moving around, no panic attacks. Surprise, right? Crazy. So he's like, oh, you got to get running. He goes, you got to do longer distance runs, 3 mile, 5 mile. So that's another thing that I also incorporate to kind of cleanse the body out. And Joe Rogan talks about this all the time, how like you do a tough workout, the anxiety that you experience, if you do it in the morning, the rest of the day is just like, it's just silence. Like everything else feels like nothing. So that was definitely a big thing. And then healing, and now like unraveling. And I was like, hold on, have I been a nice guy? I think I have this nice guy syndrome. So I'm kind of in a recovery of like coming out of this, and it's been unbelievable, man. It's been so cool.
Freeing. Have you started? You're talking about the Rogan stuff. Have you started plunging yet? You started your cold plunges?
I was like on it in the beginning when I was in online business. Yeah, 5 a.m. I was in that cold shower, shivering my balls off. Did all of it, and I think it's so good.
It's great. It's great, right? 2x on the dopamine, 3x on the norepinephrine, right? You get 4 to 6 hours of like, okay. But it's the worst thing. It's just, I'd rather wake up and just be hit. You know what I mean? Just hit me one time than deal with that. So consistency is a problem there.